With less than 48 hours to go until the gavel drops on the Democratic National Convention, bombshell revelations about how the Democratic National Committee does business. A WikiLeaks email dump suggests Bernie Sanders may have been right. The primary system was rigged against him. Here to weigh in, Harlan Hill, a former Sanders supporter who's now pulling for Trump, and Mark Levine, a radio talk show host who has for a very long time supported Hillary Clinton. Harlan, start with you right now. First, on the issue of Bernie Sanders, does this WikiLeaks dump, a lot of emails in there talking about his religion, talking about all sorts of other things, prove that Sanders was right all along?
Oh, absolutely. Look, it proves all of us conspiracy theorists. They made fun of us for a long time saying that we were delusional, and this just confirms what we knew, which was the DNC protectionism as led by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, probably the most corrupt leader of either party in a century. She did everything in her power to advance Hillary Clinton and to suppress Bernie Sanders.
Mark, we'll get to the veracity of Harlan's arguments here in a minute, but I think you could agree that this is not exactly what the DNC wanted 48 hours before the convention began.
No, listen, I'm sure the Russian hackers who work for Vladimir Putin want Donald Trump to be elected because Donald Trump, is ready to abandon NATO and let Russia invade the Balkans.
Hold on. We'll get to the veracity in a second, but just you can agree that this probably is not great timing for the Democrats.
I'm sure the Russians who released this wanted to embarrass the Democrats, but there's not that much there. I mean, what you have is, for example, someone wrote Debbie Wasserman Schultz and said, we want to say that the Sanders campaign is a mess. And she wrote back and said, no, I have to stay neutral. So what happened is...
But what about all the talk about Sanders' religion and whether or not he's Jewish or whether or not he's an atheist? Is that really the conversation to be had by members of the DNC?
Again, one guy, a Hillary Clinton supporter, wrote a letter and said, hey, we should talk about Bernie Sanders' religion, and he was shut down. They didn't talk about it. Look, the people who are on the DNC, like most Democrats, are Hillary supporters or Sanders supporters. In a primary, each tries to win for their candidate, and the DNC, as an entity, stayed neutral. Yeah, some individuals wrote some things.
That's a ridiculous thing to say. That's a ridiculous thing to say. How about the leak at NGP Van where they accused Bernie Sanders' team of hacking the voter file? That's ridiculous to claim that the Democratic National Committee stayed above the fray throughout the entire primary season. And this just confirms.
Sanders didn't hack the voter file. What happened was, and I use NGP Van, I'm a Virginia state delegate. What happened was NGP Van had a glitch in it that allowed Bernie Sanders supporters to look into Hillary Clinton's files, and the DNC said, stop doing that, and Sanders stopped doing that, and it was over. I mean, I think this is really a mountain out of a molehill.
Oh my God. I cannot believe there was a lawsuit. The Sanders team was going to have to sue the DNC to get access to their own data. You are glossing over it because you want reconciliation and you don't want to face the systemic problems at the DNC that demonstrate a very clear complicity across the entire organization that extends down to the media.
Anyone who claims to be a Sanders supporter and a Trump supporter, I really think that you need to check whose side you're on.
Mark, it's because there's a lot of commonality between these two candidates.
No, there's not.
Much more than between Bernie Sanders.
No,
yes, there is.
Sanders is against racism. Sanders is not about fear. Sanders is about bringing the country together the way Hillary is. I can't imagine anyone who's watched that convention of fear.
This is Orwellian doublespeak that has become the hallmark of the Democratic Party. You repeat a lie and it becomes
Donald
true.
Trump gets
and
excited.
You're engaging in it, Mark,
guys,
because for your own political expediency.
Guys, I had prepared for like 30 minutes or 40 minutes for this panel. I had all sorts of great questions written down. I didn't need any of them. It's been great seeing you guys. Harlan, very quickly here, we're going to get to the issue of Donald Trump, who you support. One of his tweets, many tweets today, leaked emails of DNC shows plan to destroy Bernie Sanders, mock his heritage, and much more online from WikiLeaks, really vicious rig. For English teachers out there, that is not our misspelling or that of our teams. That is Donald Trump's. But on that issue, Harlan, how does this play? How does Trump begin to capitalize it working out of this tweet?
Look, I mean, it's going to be tough for him at this point because, unfortunately, mainstream media has been able to rebrand Donald Trump as a racist, and when you look at who he is as a man, that's not who Donald Trump is. They've made any sort of
why did Paul Ryan call his comments racist?
They've made any sort of attempt to reform immigration to be a racist issue, and I find that to be very
Even
offensive.
Paul Ryan said that Donald Trump made racist comments. The heart of it is this: Bernie Sanders supporters are never going to go to Donald Trump. These are progressive people who care about equality in America.
The polls don't actually substantiate that claim.
The facts don't substantiate that at all. You look at the West Virginia exit polling, among a lot of other exit polling, they show 40% of Bernie Sanders supporters could be convinced to go to Trump, and you're sitting here talking to somebody who's a Bernie Sanders supporter who already went to Trump. Isn't this something that Hillary Clinton needs to be worried about?
I think Harlan is rarer than a unicorn eating Greek cheese on the moon. All right? Actually, those West Virginia polls are very interesting. What they show was that Trump supporters
Harlan, is that a compliment?
It's very rare.
I'll take it as one, because I'd much rather conform to the ideals of the Democratic Party as I've understood them for a long time than this new Democratic Party that's forming out of the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Raise minimum wage, increase wages, increase jobs, things that Hillary Clinton and Harlan,
I'm not for those things if you raise them. Look, if we go to $15, unfortunately, this is something that I didn't agree with on
what did you agree with that Bernie Sanders stood for?
If we go to $15,
what did you agree with that Bernie Sanders stood for?
Let me finish. Well, trade, that's the biggest issue in my mind. Look, the middle class has been gutted in this country.
Right, and Donald Trump is sending jobs abroad. Well, why is your candidate going to China and firing Americans to do it? Why is your candidate doing that personally?
Oh, my God. Let's take a step back here. It's very clear that the policies of the Clinton administration in the 90s, which Hillary has supported since,
but Donald Trump does outsourcing,
which Hillary Clinton called the gold standard over 40 times before she cracked on it in the primary.
From the very conduct that you complain of. How can you support it?
He is the only candidate in this race that has been ideologically consistent on this issue. Hillary Clinton has not. She has flip-flopped. She's been on 3 or 4 different sides of this issue. I don't know what she believes, frankly. And at least Donald Trump has created a job. Hillary Clinton's never done it in her life.
Yeah, he's created some Chinese jobs. Good for them.
Yeah, tens of thousands of American jobs. How many jobs have you created, Mark?
Oh, now you're going to go personal? Really?
Yeah.
You know what, on that note, shockingly, gentlemen, shockingly now we're out of time. Imagine that, Mark, Harlan. I'm so glad I prepared all those questions. You guys stole the show. I appreciate it. We'll have you back.
Thanks, Leland.
Thanks, guys. Liz?
All right, Mary.